Ladies and gentlemen, let me start with a truth most people don't want to hear. Time is not your problem. It never was. You don't need more hours in the day. You need more clarity in your life. Because when you're clear, when you're intentional, when you're purpose-driven, you make time bend to your will. Let me ask you this. Have you ever had a day where everything just clicked? You were focused, on fire, energized, and by noon, you'd accomplished more than you usually do in a week. That wasn't more time, that was a better you. So stop saying you're too busy. Start saying I'm not clear enough. Because lack of time is never the issue, lack of priority is. And here's the kicker, when everything is a priority, nothing is. We don't live in a time management crisis, we live in an attention crisis. We're scrolling, reacting, multitasking ourselves into exhaustion, and at the end of the day, we wonder where the time went. But time didn't go anywhere, you gave it away. You gave it to distraction, you gave it to doubt, you gave it to decisions that didn't serve your future self. So here's the shift. It's not about managing your hours, it's about managing your energy. You've got to protect your mind, feed your body, guard your mornings. Because when your energy is aligned with your intention, time becomes irrelevant. You stop surviving your schedule, and you start owning your day. Let me leave you with this. You are the architect of your time. You are the master of your minutes. And if you want to live a life of meaning, impact, and joy, then stop blaming time and start choosing better. Because time's not the problem, clarity is the key, discipline is the doorway, and intention is the engine. Let's live with more purpose. Let's lead with more power. Let's show the world what's possible when we stop saying we're busy and start living like we mean it. Thank you. Would you like this tailored for a particular audience, students, entrepreneurs, professionals, or want a shorter version for a real or quick keynote? Absolutely. Here's an expanded version of the point: lack of clarity, not time, creates chaos. Written in a smooth, motivational tone, no subheadings, no concluding paragraph, coming in around 700 words. People talk about time like it's the villain, like it's this sneaky thief stealing their days, their dreams, and their drive. But time has never been the problem. The real issue, the one we often ignore, is lack of clarity. Because when you're not clear, everything feels urgent, everything feels overwhelming, and that chaos. That sense of constantly being behind, of never having enough hours. It's not because your schedule is packed, it's because your mind isn't. You see, when we wake up without clarity, we hand our time over to randomness. We walk into our day already behind, already confused, already reacting to what the world throws at us. The emails, the texts, the meetings, the requests, none of it was on purpose, but all of it gets our attention. And when you're unclear, anything can steal your attention. Anything can feel important. So you chase one thing after the next, hoping to catch up, but never really knowing where you're going. And that creates a kind of exhaustion that no amount of sleep can fix. Because it's not your body that's tired. It's your purpose that's blurry. Clarity is power. When you know exactly what you want, exactly who you're becoming, and exactly what matters most, your calendar starts to change. Your energy starts to shift. You start making decisions based on direction, not distraction. And suddenly, time starts working with you, not against you. It's not about doing more, it's about doing what matters most, with more intention, more focus, and more heart. The reason so many people feel stuck isn't because they're lazy. It's not because they don't have talent. It's because they're not clear, and when you're not clear, even small tasks feel heavy. Even basic decisions feel hard. Because you're constantly questioning, second, guessing, switching directions. You burn energy on things that don't move the needle. You fill your day with busy work, thinking activity is the same as progress. But it's not. Motion isn't momentum, and without clarity, you'll confuse the two. Ask someone what they want from life, and most people can't tell you. They'll tell you what they don't want. They'll tell you what they're tired of. They'll tell you what they're stressed about. But clarity isn't about what you're avoiding. It's about what you're moving towards. It's about vision, intention, alignment. It's about waking up and knowing, this is where I'm going, and these are the steps I'm taking today to get there. Clarity gives your time meaning. It filters your priorities. It protects you from burnout, because you're no longer just reacting to the world. You're creating your world. Every yes becomes more meaningful. Every no becomes more powerful. You stop trying to do everything, and you focus on the few things that actually matter. That's how clarity reduces stress. That's how it creates calm in the middle of chaos. Not by shrinking your responsibilities, but by sharpening your focus. When you're clear, you don't need motivation to move, you just move, because you're connected to something bigger than the task itself. You're driven by purpose, and when purpose leads, discipline follows. That's how you create momentum. That's how you build consistency. Not from pressure, but from clarity. And that consistency, that's where the real growth happens. That's where your life starts to shift from chaotic to aligned. We've been taught to manage our time with tools and calendars and apps. And sure, those help. But no tool in the world can save you if you're not clear on why you're doing what you're doing. You'll just end up scheduling your chaos, organizing your confusion, becoming more efficient at doing the wrong things. It's not enough to be busy. You have to be brilliantly busy. You have to be intentional with what you choose to give your energy to. And that starts with clarity. Clarity isn't a one-time decision. It's a daily practice. It's waking up and checking in with your vision. It's asking the hard questions. Who am I becoming? What do I want to create? What matters today? When you answer those questions with honesty and courage, you stop drifting through your days. You start designing them. You stop reacting, and you start leading. And that leadership, that self-leadership, is what separates the overwhelmed from the unstoppable. Because again, time has never been the problem. The real chaos begins when you forget your direction, when your day isn't connected to your destiny, when your actions aren't aligned with your ambition. But the moment you get clear, crystal clear, on what you're here to do, what matters most, and who you need to be to get there, everything changes. And suddenly, 24 hours, that's more than enough. Let me know if you want this repurposed for video, presentation slides, or a written article format too. Absolutely. Here's a 700-word expansion of the idea: energy management, time management. No subheadings, no concluding paragraph, all in that driven, motivational tone. We've been taught our whole lives to manage time, plan the day, block the calendar, track the hours, and sure, structure matters. But let's get real. How often have you had your whole day mapped out perfectly and still got nothing meaningful done? It wasn't because you didn't have time. It was because you didn't have the energy. That's the missing piece. That's the truth most people overlook. Time is the container, but energy is the fuel. And when your energy is low, it doesn't matter how much time you've got. You're not showing up at your best. You're not thinking clearly. You're not performing with power or presence, because it's not the hours that matter most, it's what you bring into those hours. High performers don't just protect their time, they fiercely protect their energy. They treat it like currency, like oxygen, like sacred ground, because they know the truth: nothing flows without energy, not creativity, not discipline, not momentum, not joy. When your energy is gone, your focus follows. Your decisions suffer, your productivity drops, and most importantly, your spirit starts to fade. And when that happens, no schedule, no planner, no productivity hack can save you. You can't outperform burnout. You can't out-schedule fatigue. If your mind is foggy, your body is dragging, and your heart isn't in it, your day is already gone, no matter how well it was planned. Think about your best days, the ones where you were locked in, lit up, energized. You probably didn't even notice how many hours had passed, because you weren't running on time. You were running on flow. You had presence. You had momentum. And that's not about managing minutes. That's about managing energy. Managing how you sleep, how you eat, how you breathe, how you move, how you protect your mindset. That's the real work. That's the daily discipline behind true productivity. Because if you're drained, distracted, emotionally exhausted, you're not going to execute at the level you know you're capable of. That's not a time issue. That's an energy leak. So many people are scheduling their lives down to the minute, but ignoring the fact that they're tired, stressed, reactive, and overstimulated. They're wired but exhausted, awake but not alive. They go from task to task without taking a breath, without checking in, without creating the space to recharge. And they wonder why they feel like they're constantly behind. But the answer isn't in another planner. The answer is in their physiology, in their mental state, in how they protect their focus and fuel their fire. Because when energy is high, everything changes. You think faster, you act bolder, you speak with more clarity. You bring more compassion, you recover faster, you're more present with your people, and that's what leadership is. That's what high performance actually looks like. Time is neutral. Time just passes. It doesn't care what you do with it. But energy is alive. It's yours to generate, yours to protect, yours to elevate, and the beautiful part, you don't have to wait for it. You don't have to hope for it. You create it through intention, through discipline, through the way you show up for yourself before you show up for the world. Most people think energy is something that just happens to them. They think if they get enough sleep, or drink another coffee, or catch a break, then maybe they'll feel better. But energy isn't passive, it's proactive. It's the result of the choices you make over and over again. The choice to move your body when you feel sluggish, the choice to take a breath before reacting, the choice to disconnect and recharge instead of pushing through burnout. That's what gives you power. That's what gives you edge. We don't need more time. We need more people who are alive in the time they already have. People who are intentional with how they start their day, who don't wake up and instantly go into reaction mode, who don't trade their focus for dopamine hits and distractions. People who protect their mornings, fuel their bodies, focus their minds, and bring their full self to the moment they're in. Because when you do that, 1 hour of deep, energized work can beat 5 hours of scattered, half-hearted effort. That's the truth, that's the shift. You can't just schedule performance, you have to generate it. So stop asking, do I have enough time? Start asking, do I have enough energy for what matters most today? Because the real edge isn't in your calendar, it's in your clarity, your mindset, and your energy. Let me know if you'd like the next one in the series, People Don't Prioritize, They React, or want to use this as part of a presentation or video script. Absolutely, here's a 700-word expansion on People Don't Prioritize, They React, written in that high-performance motivational tone with no subheadings and no concluding paragraph. Most people don't live their days, they survive them. They're not creating their schedule, they're responding to it. They're not in command of their time, they're at the mercy of what shows up. And that's not because they lack ambition or intelligence. It's because they're caught in a cycle of reactivity. They're stuck in a mode where everything feels urgent, where the next notification, the next request, the next quick thing takes priority over what actually matters. And so they move through their day on autopilot, busy, distracted, pulled in 1,000 directions, but not truly driving their life forward. This is the hard truth. Most people don't prioritize, they react. They wake up and the first thing they do is check their phone, and just like that, the world gets to set their agenda. Someone else's email, someone else's crisis, someone else's expectation. And before they've even brushed their teeth, their attention has been hijacked. They're no longer operating from intention. They're operating from pressure. They're no longer choosing their focus. They're being led by it. That's the danger of living reactively. It looks like you're busy. It feels like you're doing things, but deep down, you know you're not doing your things. You're just responding to everyone else's. When you don't prioritize your own life, someone else will do it for you. And they won't do it with your values. They won't do it with your goals in mind. The world doesn't care about your dreams. It cares about your attention. It will keep asking, pulling, tapping, pinging, until you forget what mattered to you. You'll say yes to too many things. You'll sit in meetings you don't need to be in. You'll respond to messages that didn't need your time, and you'll call it being responsible. But what it really is being unavailable to yourself. Reactivity isn't a flaw, it's a default. It's how the brain protects itself when clarity is missing. If you don't know what your top 3 priorities are today, your mind will assume everything is a priority. And that's how overwhelm starts. That's how you fill your day with tasks, but end it feeling empty, because activity without intention is just noise, and noise doesn't move you forward. Noise keeps you spinning in place. There's a difference between being busy and being productive. There's a difference between being available and being aligned, and the difference is prioritization. It's not just about making a to-do list, it's about asking yourself what actually matters today, what moves the needle, what feeds my future, not just my inbox. Because without that filter, everything seems urgent. Every ding, every buzz, every tap on the shoulder becomes a detour. And over time, all those detours become your life. A life of reaction, a life of response, a life of answering to everything and everyone except yourself. People say they don't have time, but that's rarely the truth. What they don't have is the courage to say no. What they don't have is the clarity to protect what really matters, because prioritization isn't easy. It takes guts, it takes boundaries, it takes saying, "This is what I stand for today, and everything else can wait." That's not selfish, that's leadership, that's self-respect, that's living with intention instead of impulse. The greatest enemy of focus isn't distraction, it's indecision. It's walking into your day without knowing what deserves your energy. And when you do that, you spend your hours reacting to everything that's loud instead of choosing what's important. But you don't need another app. You don't need another planner. You just need a moment of honesty with yourself. You need to ask, what's the one thing I must move forward today? And then protect it like your future depends on it. Because it does. This isn't about perfection. This isn't about rigid discipline. It's about awareness. It's about waking up and deciding you're not going to be a passive participant in your life anymore. That you're done handing your day over to chaos. That you're done letting urgency kill what's essential. It's a mindset shift from "I'll get to it when I can" to "if it matters, it gets done first." That's prioritization. That's power. That's how you stop reacting and start leading your life. Let me know if you'd like the final one in the series expanded. You own the clock, it doesn't own you, or want to build these into a full keynote or training deck? Absolutely. Here's a 700-word expansion of "You own the clock, it doesn't own you," in the same empowering, motivational tone with no subheadings and no concluding paragraph. One of the biggest lies we've been sold is that time controls us. That we're stuck in this race against the clock, constantly trying to catch up, constantly behind, always out of breath, out of time, out of options. But that's not the truth. The truth is, you own the clock, it doesn't own you. Time is not your master, it's your tool. It doesn't run you. You run it. The question is whether you're claiming that ownership or giving it away every single day without even realizing it. Most people feel overwhelmed not because they don't have enough time, but because they haven't taken control of how they use it. They treat time like something external, something that happens to them, instead of something they create through their decisions. So they go through their days reacting, rushing, checking off boxes without stopping to ask, did I even choose this? They confuse movement with meaning, urgency with importance, and in the end, they feel busy but not fulfilled. They feel spent but not successful. They feel like time slipped through their fingers not because it moved too fast, but because they weren't the ones steering the wheel. Time isn't the enemy. The real enemy is passivity. The real enemy is letting someone else's priorities run your schedule. It's saying yes without thinking. It's defaulting to distraction. It's allowing the calendar to fill up without asking if what's being added is actually moving you toward the life you want. You don't need to fight the clock. You need to lead it. And leadership starts with ownership. It starts with waking up and deciding, this is my day, these are my hours, and I get to decide what happens with them. You have 440 minutes in a day. That's not a prison sentence. That's potential. That's opportunity. And the people who master their lives are the ones who realize that time isn't taken from them. It's traded. Every yes is a trade. Every task, every meeting, every conversation, every scroll, every choice is an investment. And the question isn't, do I have enough time? The real question is, am I trading it wisely? Because the return on your time determines the trajectory of your life. You're either spending your time or you're building something with it. And here's the thing. Owning the clock doesn't mean cramming your schedule full. It means being intentional. It means having the courage to say no to what's easy so you can say yes to what's essential. It means building in space to think, to breathe, to create, to connect. Because you don't win by being the busiest. You win by being the most aligned, the most present, the most strategic. That's how high performers operate. They don't let time dictate their behavior. They direct it like a conductor leading a symphony. Every hour has a purpose. Every block of time has intention behind it. They're not just doing, they're designing. So many people live in this mental loop of I have to. But what if you stopped saying I have to and started saying I choose to? I choose to spend the first hour of my day on what matters most. I choose to shut out distractions and get focused. I choose to take a break and recharge so I can come back stronger. That shift from victimhood to ownership is everything. Because when you reclaim your power over time, you stop being overwhelmed by it. You stop being anxious every time the clock ticks. You start using it as a force for progress instead of a source of pressure. You get to build your rhythm, you get to define your pace. You don't have to run at the speed of everyone else. You don't have to live in constant hustle mode to prove you're productive. What matters isn't how fast you go, it's how intentional you are. And when you start living with that kind of awareness, that kind of clarity, time begins to work for you. You create space for depth. You create space for joy. You create space for the things that fill you up, not just the things that check off another box. Owning the clock means choosing to live your life on offense, not defense. It means creating your time with purpose instead of spending your time on autopilot. And that ownership, that's not something you earn, it's something you claim moment by moment, day by day. Because every time you say, this is where my energy goes, this is what matters to me, this is how I choose to spend this hour, you're stepping into your power. You're no longer a passenger in your own day. You're the one behind the wheel. Want all 4 expanded pieces packaged into a mini book, talk outline, or content series? I can format that for you, absolutely. Here's a powerful 200-word conclusion that ties together the full message of your speech. At the end of the day, time has never been the real problem. It's not the enemy, and it's not in control. The real issue is how we show up, unclear, unintentional, reactive, and drained. We've been told to manage minutes, when what we really need to manage is our clarity, our energy, our focus, and our choices. Because when you don't own your direction, every distraction feels urgent. When you don't guard your energy, no amount of time will ever feel like enough. When you don't prioritize what matters, life will keep handing you what doesn't. And when you forget that the clock is yours to command, you'll spend your days rushing instead of rising. This isn't about doing more. It's about being more present, more intentional, more connected to what actually matters. Because when you own your clarity, protect your energy, act with purpose, and lead your time with intention, you stop surviving the day, and you start shaping it. You don't need more hours. You need more ownership. Time doesn't get to run your life anymore. You do. So the choice is yours. Will you let the clock control you, or will you finally take the lead? Let me know if you'd like this reform, added for slides or used in a close the room moment for a live event.